Right. All right, let's go. Oh, let's go. Let's get a damn gaming news. Or rather, right now, not the gaming news, but rather the articles about game development and related topics. But that for now, gaming news later. Gaming news after this. All right. The balcony open a bit warm. And actually a bit warm outside too, I guess. All right, Go Green, welcome back to the dungeon. Thank you, sir. Thank you, man. Thank you. Aparishi a lot. Hello. How we doing? He does the next gen. Hello, guys. Hello. All right, let's go. Get some of that coffee first. Get some of the water. We get some of water. And then we get some coffee. There we go. Oh, there we go. Oh, there it is. Why are you running? Go back. All right. I got him. So now that we got him, now we're gonna grind it. There we go. I got him. Yeah, got him. Get a bit of a chicory. Almost done with this bag. Kinda. Not exactly almost yet. But soon, Soon. There it is. go. 1 second. Gonna store that. Nice. I read the Go Greens resub message. Lurking in some of the game dev in there. Glad you like it, man. It is indeed quite nice. It is indeed quite nice. Feels very good, eh? Exploring that unity. Learning new shit about it. All right. There we go. I'm gonna watch the grinder. Oh, all right. Let's see. I get the grinder clean then. For next week, there is also some new stuff to do. Tomorrow's RPG Monday, I'm gonna get the new Wrath of the Righteous class to check. Need to do my playthrough of that too. But that will happen later. It'll be in summer, but yeah, I'm not sure. This summer actually might be kinda loaded though. With some of them Diablos and all that. We'll see. But yeah, just gonna do the roguelike mode then with new shit. Check it out. And then I think there's like a couple more things to check during the week too. Something for Tuesday. Something after my day offs. See, I say. Let's try to do another run. Are you kind of done with it for now? And the mad progress with the last tipo. Okay, see. I'm gonna have two, at least two. I have more games for next week, but I think it might be even more than that. So like first look Friday and everything else gonna be, and the rest of the week also gonna be loaded. A little bit of toading here and there too. Iridium low. Absolutely. Yeah, see, Steve, I see. The insane DLC run you wanted there, right? Maybe it's backlog time. Sales are soon though, yeah. Sales are indeed soon. Yeah, like a bunch of all of the new stuff now. Terraforming is actually really fun too. So, at worst case, that could be my fallback for a while if needed. But don't think I'll need it though. So now it's some good stuff, some new stuff. Then it's some more new stuff. We'll see what I'm gonna be able to secure though. Hopefully Dreadgear will be available. That would be nice. Then there's also like the Diablo This maybe I'll get into. We'll see. Maybe I'll just chill for now. Just chill, wait what people with who pre-ordered from here gonna report. If it worked, then you won't get banned or something. Then after that, already decide what to do with it. You right. The judgment, I see. The military missions on hardest difficulty. Yeah, in those games, all the military stuff I also don't like. Not a big fan. I like me my management, building and everything. There's my GM. Oh, there's my GM. No, let's try hitting it a bit less today, maybe. Maybe it's gonna be better that way. The management missions, yeah, I would imagine that would be something I would like more. The more. I would imagine. Alright, let's try a bit less time. One the heating up. See if that will help with whipping it. Can't even play the strategy games on normal, I see. I mean, whatever. Whatever difficulty works. Yeah, mostly like not really into. Depends on the game, really. Like in some, like the super try hard modes feel kind of okay. In some, they just like too much, overheat all over the place. It's a bit becomes too stressful rather than enjoyable, Like Dune actually Spice Wars was good in that sense. That was like even an insane difficulty, it was pretty good. Well, except when I did Harkonnen, trying to go like full militaristic way, that shit was a little stressful. Because like the military victory is way more annoying than any other one, really. There. All right, let it calm down, and then we try to go again. Strategy games being a mega difficult. Yeah, that happens. That happens. Campaigns usually like in the strategies like that more difficult just because everything is kind of like scripted. When you play skirmish, AI usually is not five-head enough for that. While in campaign, it's already kind of fully decked out and everything. It was kind of the same, mostly the same in like the Solid Conquest and everything, right? When in campaign they just might be destroying you, and again they're destroying you only like in late campaigns when they're actually like super powerful from the get-go, pretty much. But you play skirmish and AI is just getting destroyed, like with no chances. They did improve AI though, so the next revisit is gonna be probably with new campaign. When another campaign will drop, then I'm gonna go in. Because as practice showed, it's better to play Songs of Conquest content and campaigns early before people start trying and they nerf them into oblivion. Because I think the pre-nerf campaigns were actually like good amount of difficulty. Still less difficulty than Heroes of Might and Magic, for example, 3. I would say, because I only restarted once my run, not run, but the mission. And Heroes of Might and Magic on some missions I was restarting like a lot of times. Yeah, this milk just refuses to go. Like it doesn't hold the air. It's kind of the same as you would when you try to whip like very a weak watery milk like almond milk or something has the same stuff. Like it's kind of like keeps the air in when you whip it in process, kind of even raises and stuff, but as soon as you stop, it just kind of loses it all instantly. So I have a feeling they kind of fucked up with the fat on that milk, which should be 3.2 and everything as usual, but something is PPG about it. They changed like the bottle design and lost 2 times with new bottle design, and both times it's like this. Halloween. I'm gonna experiment. Because already doing this for years basically, and the milk from the same store too, the same type of milk. And it always was good this way. And now it's PPG. Yeah, that's most of the time. That's most of the time the case. The AI is just plain cheating, basically. That's why I don't like the... what's the name? Some of the 4x strategies and stuff. On higher difficulty, like Civ, for example. Like on high difficulties, it's like literally like... I don't remember from which difficulty to which, like I got all the way up there. And then you switch to the next difficulty, the next step, and the AI just literally just starts with 2 settlers pretty much, or like with 2 already established cities or something. All right, nice. What is this shit doing? And it's still doable and everything, of course, but it just kind of like makes it too PP again too stressful to play like this sometimes in some games on giga difficulties. So it's better sometimes to find some comfy difficulty, you know, and just play it the way you want. Especially when it leaves you opportunity to like try different things. Kind of what I did with Songs of Conquest. Like it was easy, no matter what you do. AI is just was. They improved it. Haven't tried, but they improved it. So it was like a very, very boring to play against AI. But at least there was a mission where you just literally just like PvE. You're just alone. You have like some goals at the end that you go through like mobs slowly, you know, increasing your power. You have like time limit there or something, but time limit is also like super insane. So I just ended up running that mission, trying to kind of min-max things and try like different strats and everything, try to get some like broken like builds or something going. Yeah, Siltan, yeah, exactly. I think so too. Think so too. Yeah, I mean, it's a really it's a huge requirement for AI. I mean, now that we got, you know, not like the NASA tier AI is available, right? And that available to the regular mortals. Maybe we will actually get some good AIs in games too. I know I'm gonna get some, and don't have any banon, but then I can add some little kick to my coffee. This is the bird's milk, we called it here. Okay, it's so fluffy and everything and milky. And it was called the bird's milk. It's like that super scuff from the grocery store. But actually kind of not too bad. Actually not too bad. Okay, let's hear anyway. The image totally same as the product. I mean, kinda. It actually does. With this thing, it actually does, because you know, like the cake is nothing like super crazy really here. You know, it's just this. And then, well, I'll need to cut it well though. It's kind of harder from the fridge because chocolate starts kind of crumbling, so it's not gonna be as beautiful of a cut. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I can't kind of really ruin that one. So simple. So very simple. Yeah, that stuff is like what? It was on discount like $3. And that's 450 grams. So, you know, good. It might be not the very best, but it's good. Considering how much nowadays all the cakes and everything cost, that's very good. I thought it would be worse. Actually, like warm, it is kind of not that good. It says in it like it's better to eat cold. I thought it's kind of the other way around usually. Kind of wanted to warm up a bit and it stays here, like softer and stuff. But here it's actually better when it's cold. Actually good. Yes, these days I soon. Talking the Lance Bears. Well, yeah. Horses against Lance doesn't sound that good. Alright, let's go. Let's go on. So what did we have there? That I wanted to check. The bunch of shit to read. Alright, we can do against the Storm article. Oh, let's get Miyazaki also. Haven't read his shit yet. Mr. Miyazaki's interview stuff. See about that one too. Alright. Finish it real quick. And we read them. Go on. Let's go on. 60 hours in. Was that like the approximate amount? 60 hours doesn't sound that crazy big for Fallout. I would expect that one is gonna be even longer. The mod's gonna be even longer probably. Who right? Let's see, alright. How Against the Storm managed to mix city building and a roguelite play, yeah? Yeah, let's see. How did they do that? How did they actually do that? Nominated for Excellence in Design, Against the Storm mixes roguelite elements and city building, challenging players to build and thrive despite ever-imminent disaster. Game developer sat down with Michal Glozhinsky, a games designer and programmer, about how the game was born from thinking on why some city builders felt so endlessly replayable, how thinking of the city as an avatar helped them weave roguelite elements into City Builder, and how a tiny fictional addition labeling a certain system the Queen would turn a possibly divisive mechanic into a beloved part of the game. So everyone likes to serve the Queen, I see. Who are you and what was your role in developing Against the Storm? My name is Michal Glozhinsky and I am a designer and programmer at Eremite Games. Working hand in hand with a team of 5 people on Against the Storm, roguelite city builder set in a world tormented by apocalyptic rains. 5 people, pretty good. Pretty good. Makes it a roguelite, you're just replaying it all the time and you have a bunch of unlocks. You have a bunch of unlocks in your lobby. And then you replay missions. You don't replay missions, you can like pick the missions and they have different modifiers and everything there. Depending on like the territory, depending on like neighboring regions and stuff like this. Star TS games do? Not exactly. Not exactly. Nah, not really. Well, first of all, you don't have any upgrades that persist between games. That's pretty much like non-RTS do it. The closest ones you could say would be like something like Emperor Battle for Dune, Dawn of War, was it Dark Crusade or whatever, right? When there's like the full planet and you just kind of like pick territories, but you don't have any modifiers or something. You just like attack this territory. You just have like different enemy there, but you still have same units. You still have same buildings. Everything is the same. Sometimes even map is kind of the same. And this way you have some persistent upgrades and everything between games in your like lobby and stuff. You have different modifiers for every map. You have like different things you pick on the map. You can pick different resources. You can pick different buildings. You can kind of like adjust the strategy pretty much. Like if there's a lot of like fertile soil, you can go like towards the farm. So get like humans as a race together with someone else because I think they are like good at farming and stuff. You pick the farm as the building, you know, and you just kind of like start developing towards that stuff. So yeah, it's kind of like, it's different. It actually has like a bunch of shit going on for it, to be honest. How do you come up with a concept for Against the Storm? In 2018, we had just finished developing our first full-fledged mobile game, Shattered Plane, which we worked on after hours for 2 years. Helped us grow and bind the team together, and we still couldn't allow ourselves to go full-time indie. We knew we wanted to leave a mobile game development behind, so we were looking for game ideas and toying with different prototypes for a new PC game. It's interesting. So like post-work, post-time, a mobile project, 5 people studio. And even after that, still not enough to full-time. No, I see, Steve, alright. Had a few clear goals in mind. Wanted a game with a twist unique enough to make it easier for us to break through the sea of other PC games that would be highly replayable to allow us to work on it in an open development format. I really hyped on this idea after working for years in a very player-disconnected mobile industry. I can imagine, yeah. In a game that would not overwhelm us in terms of scope, but this was our first PC games developed as Eremite Games. I would say scope is huge, though. At some point, while working on a prototype for an ARPG, we realized it was absolutely out of our scope and ditched it. The whole team was starting to get tired and desperate for some fresh ideas. Sometime it dwelled on the problem of replayability in city builders and tried to figure out why some older strategy games with city building elements were so replayable, games like Stronghold or Kingdoms and Castles. Vividly remember playing Stronghold Crusaders Skirmish Trail as a kid, where different maps had only some set of the total resource pool, With the trading post at hand, the puzzle was very simple. Extract whatever you could, sell it, and buy everything else you needed. Remember it as immensely fun, and this feeling of cheating the game. Knew very well it was designed that way, but somehow I was still feeling very smart nonetheless. And Castles isn't that old, I see. I mean, true. I mean, for me, Crusaders is also not that old, you know. Yeah, no. They all clicked together in one evening. And we had some experience in city builders, so we could at least assess the scope. So 2017, is it? Yeah, that's not something you play as a kid, I guess. Well, actually, it is an example, I guess. Yeah, games like Stronghold or Kingdom of Castle, so I guess it's just kind of like some example they had it in mind. Had some experience in city builders, so we could at least assess the scope. Ideas of Banish meets Slated Spire and a city builder where you... sorry. No noise. Hit the keyboard there. Play a different game each time. We're bold enough, and the run-based aspect would allow us to develop the game together with the community. Made a quick pitch, included the world of Everlasting Rain we were tinkering with in previous prototypes, and got the rest of the team on board. Development tools were used to build your game. The game is built in the Unity engine, and we had years of experience in it, so it felt very natural and safe. Apart from that, we've built a vast set of internal tools to allow us to make rapid content iterations. The 2-week update cycle turned out to be quite a beast with an unriddled appetite for quick changes and improvements. True. The move for the indie devs is to move out from Scandinavian countries. Well, these guys seems like, judging by first and last name, that's like Czech Republic or Poland, like some Eastern European studio, so they're already kind of in the cheap environment. Some don't really want to become rich with one game, rather finance their next project. I mean, for India, I feel it might be still quite brutal though in Scandinavian countries. Just from the taxes, from the fact that, you know, if you like hiring the team, more people in the team, it's like, you know, all the union and stuff. So, you know, you probably like have some issues with like getting like some part-time workers and everything, because there's probably all like super heavily regulated and stuff, and you need to know all this landscape to not fuck up. But yeah, I mean, I think in terms of like Scandinavian countries, it's way better if you work in a studio though. Like if it's already like established, if you already established and everything, and then you just work in the studio, that is super good. Again, because of the unions and stuff, you're gonna have like solid salary. You're gonna have everything covered for you. You're gonna have retirement and stuff all sorted out. You know, all the insurances, healthcare, everything, family stuff. If you will start, all good. I totally can relate now. Like it's not about, you know, just like making as much money as possible. It's about living comfortably. And you get when you get old enough already, you know, you just kind of want to chill. Don't want some super adventures. It's pretty much where like I'm pretty sure like LA is not moving anywhere. Like you could just go to some low taxes country and just, you know, like rake in like a bunch of them monies and stuff. But I mean, it's just more chill and everything. Better to pay more taxes, but you know where they go in, and you know, you live in the environment you already know and stuff too. Because moving in general is also not that easy. Someone looking into it can tell you for sure. It ain't that simple. It ain't that simple to move from physical and mental and all the perspectives. Yeah, yes, it should be. It should be some Eastern European country, yeah. So like for India, Scandinavia would be kind of brutal though, unless you like made it. Then probably you kind of fine. If you made it, then you're probably good. There we go. There it is. There might be also some like, you know, tax optimizations and stuff going. think some of the streamers were doing it back in the day. I remember before Sin was talking about it, basically how it worked in Sweden, for example. Wasn't there like some sort of like you open like a fund or something? All you earn just goes there and you don't pay any taxes for that. It's just like as long as it stays there, you don't pay anything. Only when you kind of want to cash out, then you're going to pay for all of it. But it just stays there and you just get like interest, I guess, or something from that money being stored there. And that interest you can get like with some small tax, and on that, if it's enough, you can just like live on that basically. And that like big bag there is just kind of like something you can later, you know, cash out if you really need it, or you can just like keep it there and maybe like reinvest in some other things. And basically you kind of like live, I think, only on like interest and like dividends, whatever, while your money is basically like going there and you never actually kind of paid any taxes. But maybe there are some like smaller ones, some like there are nuances pretty much. If people know, then you can probably optimize the system quite a bit. Here they usually optimize it differently. They just open like a company in some offshore country, and that's pretty much it. That's how they all optimize it, or move there even. In the end, that's also how a lot do. How a lot of them do. They optimize it a little bit more radical. A little more radical. But yeah, and then again, also, like, if you all set, what then? You still kind of want to do something. So it's also kind of like complicated. Like moving from here, for example, I see the reason, because, you know, it's just kind of like going to be harder for you to sell your stuff because you're here, right? It's going to be like a lot of complications, a lot of issues. So you kind of want to do it if you can. Not everyone can. That's not that simple, sadly. In Europe, it's easier, I guess, though. You're from Scandinavian country to some other country, probably. But then again, there might be nuances. You need to check it. Like, you know, to start like some entrepreneurship and everything. If you move to another country, I'm not sure how easy that is. Like if you're not a citizen, if you're like just in the European Union, you move from one country to another to start a company, there might be also some nuances with taxes. Because there is also this like tax residency and everything, right? Like you need to live in that country or over like 6 months per year, basically, right? To remain the resident. Then when you stop being resident in another country, whatever you earn there gets taxed more. Like there's like a lot of nuances basically in this stuff. So yeah, I think a lot of people, because of that, just kind of like, you know, let's start, let's make something, and then we'll figure things out. It's pretty much in the end what kind of I'm leaning towards. Like let's just chill for now. If like things gonna go better, quality will be more, then we'll already like start from there. Things will be how they are, then there's kind of no point because it's still not going to be enough to move anywhere anyway. So might as well just kind of like roll like this, see what happens. Kills the Storm is roguelite city builder. What thoughts went into bringing those two genres together? How did this mixture shape the game? Initially, there was a lot of doubt if we'd actually pull it off. One of the other designers working with us at the time kept saying we were trying to mix oil with water. First glance, both genres stood quite in opposition to each other. One of the key moments was the coining of the concept of the city is your avatar. Quickly realized that it couldn't be a game about particular people, but instead it had to be a game about the town itself. Buildings, production chains, resources, and population. Reframing it like that allowed us to open a floodgate of mechanics that are very familiar to the players but are not common in the city builder genre. If your town is your avatar, if it had quests or health? How would it level up? How would it trade, fight, and explore? Most of the key systems like orders, exploration, resolve, and cornerstones originated as the result of this approach. I mean, true, kinda. The cornerstones and stuff is kind of like abilities, I guess, for the character that you pick up with like level ups and stuff, so makes sense. The last bit led us to another key moment when we came up with the idea of a thick forest surrounding the village. You could now venture into the wilds and explore the world around you. While it took us more than a year to refine this system, it became one of the foundations upon which we build the rest of the game and its unique flavor. Stability is often important in defining success in a city builder, but Against the Storm is about rolling with constant change. How did it affect how you designed mechanics and world? There's actually one of the key bits of design in Against the Storm. Stability is the ultimate goal of city builders, and once the player achieves it, we as designers usually have two options. We can either poke the player out of his balanced state, or let them get bored. Against the Storm, the seasons and events do the poking, but ultimately we do what all roguelites are destined to do. We congratulate the player, give them their rewards, and send them away before the sweet taste of steamrolling through the challenges can turn into bitter boredom. True. Gyotan. Hopefully. Well, I mean, they are under the Hooded Horse publisher now. I'm not sure if they will go for publishing themselves. Might try to do something else, but I think they still gonna have a while working on Against the Storm. They roll like every 2 weeks updates basically. So like their roadmap and everything is quite packed there, I would say. Option to do it is probably one of the most joyful things about designing run-based games. Knowing the player will only have access to a given tool for mere minutes, we can allow ourselves to make this tool ridiculous, overpowered, and very situational. We can encourage players to make risky decisions and push them into trying things they would never dare in a more linear game. Players will need to care for multiple races with various needs throughout the game. What drew you to create these diverse desires and requirements for players to work with them? Probably the most significant design challenge was to make each game different from the previous ones. To this day, it's our main motivation behind most of the systems and changes that we introduced to the game. At the time, we were on the lookout for some larger system that could become a tool to diversify the experience later in development, something we could build upon. A revelation came with Damian Ziomik, our brilliant graphic designer, presented a sketch that depicted 5 different creatures alongside each other. One of the creatures was a beaver, and we instantly fell in love with it. It was late 2019 and we had no idea that Timberborn, another city builder with beavers, was also being developed here in Poland. The idea that you play each game with a different set of species who have different sets of needs and quirks come very naturally after that. Wait, 5 key downloads them, yeah. 2.5 bucks for 5 key downloads. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised they couldn't, sustain the full-time development after releasing that mobile game. I'm not surprised at all then. And like after taxes and everything, there's like less than 10k then. That's oof. That's a big oof. Yeah, and I can see why they moved from mobile gaming too then. Lose great, they could maybe like, well, I guess they just don't want already. Makes sense. I see what's on, alright. Did it sell anything there though at this price check? Did it? Did it? And what drew you to create demanding queen for the game? And what do you feel she added to the player's experience? At the very early stage of development, we realized that the game needed to check if your town, your avatar was doing well. There has to be someone or something that will come and judge you. Strategy games with combat, at some point you face an invasion, an ill-prepared village and kingdoms and castles will be pillaged. On the other hand, a well-fortified town will chase the Vikings away. Remember I kept rambling about the king, impatiently waiting for your results? Well, someone shouted at the queen. It matched perfectly and stuck immediately. Hebrew, hello. How we doing, man? Got a couple of sales there even? Damn, son. Easy. Easy. After we released the first demo in September 2020, we realized that players liked this idea very much. By aligning fiction and mechanics, it somehow hid the crude nature of the latter. Mechanically, those were merely 2 bars, blue for doing well and red for doing poorly. But I vividly remember watching one streamer screaming, "Queen, please!" at, well, a timer. If not for this thin layer of fiction, he would probably be screaming at us, developers, for not giving him enough time or balancing the game poorly, but instead it was the capricious queen demanding results. I was stunned by how much can be achieved with such a small change. So you remember the lesson. You need a queen in your game. Get yourself a queen, eh? Nesilton, alright. Optimize the KPIs, damn son. Corpo mode, eh? Yeah, several different roads to success in the game. What thoughts went into making these varied routes, winning over the people exploration, serving the ruler, and making them all into viable possibilities? Getting enough reputation points from various sources is key to winning a city building run in Against the Storm. Like so often in game development, we initially overscoped and planned 6 equally viable ways to gain reputation, but quickly realized it would require many more systems than we could deliver. Settled on 3 instead and built upon those. A Queen's Order system came first, and even now feels like the most natural way to gain the reputation points necessary to win. Yeah, because you also get rewards with that, so it feels good, eh? Resolve, a system that in a nutshell passively generates reputation upon reaching a certain happiness threshold, was second. But it took much more time to refine. I believe we managed to make it deep enough to be actually fun and challenging. Third one, gaining reputation through exploration and completing glade events, was initially introduced as a way to ensure the player is never stuck. No matter how resource-starved the settlement is or how unlucky the rolls are, the player can always open another glade. It can become the final nail in the coffin, or it can be a thrilling comeback. Either way, there is always some way to break from a limbo. Still in the process of improving the exploration system, as it relies heavily on caches found in the forests and tools the player owns. And we're also in the long and delicate process of introducing trade as a viable, if more exotic, way to win the game. Well, I mean, indirectly, technically, it is a way to win, I would say already. It's time, Steve. It's time, yeah. Get it. Get the queen. Design is still far from perfect, as we are well aware of it, and we are well aware of it. We need to improve specialization and find better ways to devalue other sources as you lean into, for example, orders or resolve. Otherwise, players might be tempted to get the reputation from the easiest parts of each source instead of committing to one certain playstyle. This is something we would love to improve upon in the future. Blights can cause disaster for the player, but they also cause drastic changes in the world. And what thoughts went into creating these blight effects to be devastating, but bring about compelling new challenges? In many other cases, it was a combination of a design needed to dress up some problematic mechanics and our eagerness to manifest the world we created. In the very beginning, we knew the player would play games spanning around 2 hours and that there would be a need for a place in between. We also knew we wanted to show our world as a breathing and living place. The world map with the smoldering city, the population's last shelter against the storms, in the center, was deeply ingrained in our fantasy. We just couldn't let it go, even as we realized we would have to find a way to reset this map periodically. Plenty of heated debates about this problem, with lots of back and forth. No one enjoys watching their 10-20 hours of gameplay go down the sink with one quick animation as the cycle ends and reshapes the world map. Feels very unnatural in a game about building. In the end, we veiled it with a layer of fiction, well aware that we would have to come back and find some better solutions in the future. Can also carry things forward from one failed expedition to the next. What ideas went into the things you would carry forward? Did you capture a persistent sense of progress through these elements? Also, even on the failure, you kind of carry some stuff. I see. One of the early design pillars of the game was to have a strong aspect of rebuilding, bringing something forgotten and ruined back to its former glory. But in the end, the other two pillars, diversity of experience and becoming part of the world, overwhelmed this one. The smoldering city still echoes this idea. But the idea of city as an avatar helped guide us here as well. The city is a hero returning from a dungeon. It feels very natural to spend its hard-earned coins on an upgrade to an attack speed or new shield, or in our case, a permanent boost to goods production or villagers' speed. I'll see. This is a pretty nice one. Yeah, Against the Storm is really good shit. I'll need to return to it. I'll need to return to it too. It's pretty much the same feel as Terraformers. Like you just install it when I got it, right? Well, actually, I started with the demo even. Then I got the key from devs and install it, and it just still sits there waiting for the time. Waiting for the time. Yes, I see. Yeah, I see, Steve. All right. All right. Miyazaki time, eh? Let's see. Software and Bandai Namco Elden Ring was one of two big winners at the 2023 DICE Awards. Game director Hidetaka Miyazaki was on hand not only to accept the award, but take a few questions from press in the minutes after the win. Let's see. With only a few minutes on our hands. Gonna get Twitch integration, nice. Door cracked open and we could hear the party kicking off outside. We wanted to, Miyazaki wanted to go partying there. We wanted to see if Miyazaki had any insights about Elden Ring's design for developers who've been bowled over by its mysterious open world and challenging combat. From Software has won acclaim for, in nearly all of its post-Dark Souls games, has been how the studio's games don't overly signpost where players should be going. Progression is a trial and error process where players might wander off a beaten path and only to find an entire zone that they had little idea ever existed. We ask Miyazaki how From Software considers the design of these zones, especially when frustration or confusion from players might be an intended design goal. His advice, trust players, he said. Lol, through a translator, players will figure out what to do next. He added that this philosophy is placed in the foundation of From Software's design process. Seemed to give the implication that the studio has figured out how to work with same degree of uncertainty, and given the positive reception of its last decade of games, that's not exactly a surprise. You can use enemy difficulty to guide the direction, but if you don't trust your players, what if you want to have that mysterious Elden Ring feel, but make sure your players have a sense of where to go and what to kill next? Miyazaki was game to share some further thoughts on the subject. The game's open world is first for this genre of action game. He did admit that the studio put a little more effort into directly guiding players their next destination. When they didn't want to do any explicit signposting, they turned to enemy difficulty. Players that go to certain places, there might be some difficulties, and maybe there are tough enemies, and the player might feel, oh, this is not the right way, and got to take another way to get somewhere. So the game's combat can kind of double as a map. A classic Halo-themed game design logic. If you're fighting enemies, you're going the right way, but with a little more nuance, you can tell the player, if you find enemies you can actually kill, you're more likely to make progress and go stronger. Design of Elden Ring and other From Software games often raises questions about the concept of game difficulty, but to hear Miyazaki tell it, intense difficulty can be a wonderful tool to help players gauge what challenges they are ready to take on. I mean, pretty much. Running into the cemetery, I think everyone does. I think pretty much everyone does. But I mean, you can also get the Zweihunter was there? Or was there other? Was it Claymore? I don't remember. So that might be kind of worth. Might be kind of worth exploring. Especially since you don't really need to fight anything there, kinda. If you don't want to. That was kind of nice. That one was kind of nice area because it also was really close to like the save and everything, right? So you can go in, you can suffer, but at least it's kind of easy to, to return. So you can like ram your head against the wall for a while and maybe actually get something or somewhere. Or you can just turn around and go somewhere else. Let's see. That's how they make laurels. So yeah, trust gamers. That's true. That is true. Alright, let's see what else was there. No, we kind of got some stack lands before. I guess some stack lands now. Or rather, we had the soak poop, and now we have the stack lands in particular, actually. Now, Stacklands uses simplicity to create a compelling part-based village builder. Let's see. Alright, so another interview thingy. Who are you and what was your role in developing Stacklands? Name is Aaron Koning and I'm a part of Sockpop Collective, a small game studio based in Utrecht, Netherlands. Used to make new game every month for our Patreon, also the lead designer and programmer for Stacklands. What's your background in making games? I always like messing around on the computer and started making games at a young age. Also, they sent actually the guy who lead designer and programmer for Stacklands. It basically was his project because like one person per game they have there out of their four people cooperative. So that's his then. So I'm making games at a young age. I used to do a lot of game jams, and that's also how we met each other at Sockpop. 2018, we started Patreon, where we released a new game every month for about 5 years, for a total of 100 games. Now we are taking it easy and just trying to make another 100 games before we die. Yeah, that we read last time. That's kind of still weird to like measure that, I guess, before we die. Like you can't exactly, like approximate like how much I'm gonna live. All right, that much. So I need to do that many games per year. Or do you need to like do like 90 games again, like in the next 5 years, or like maybe 10 years, and then kind of relax, What's the better approach here? How did you come up with the concept for Stacklands? What appealed to you about turning a village builder into a card game? Wanted to make a village builder for a long time already, but I always struggled with how complex it would be to make one. So many assets and systems you need to make. True. I figured turning everything into card game would solve some of those problems and allow me to make a cool village builder faster. After prototyping, an initial version of the game quickly showed a lot of potential. Yeah, hell yeah. How it feels to carry the whole company. Well, I mean, they also do quite well, but yeah, his stuff was the dink one. His stuff was the dink one. I mean, yeah, no, I think it should be fine, considering they like already worked for 5 years and built already the Patreon and stuff. They already were kind of like fine with that, and now like all of a sudden like boom, how much was it? Like 1.5 mil basically at the time, probably already more at this point, right? Like couple of mil drops on you. I mean, you split it between 4 people, but that's still a lot of money, That's still a lot of money. If you do right with that money, then you kind of like good, I guess, already. Kind of harder nowadays, huh? Like back in the day, like if I would get like 500,000 or something, that's just kind of like buy a few apartments, rent them out, and you just like sold it. Nowadays, not that simple already, I would say. That's mostly kind of like temporary though, because of all this shit fest going on, but that temporary can stretch quite a long time. Development tools were used to build the game. Stacklands was developed in Unity. Stacklands takes some of the physical properties of cards, stacking them, getting new packs, and turns them into an integral part of the game. What got you thinking about the properties of cards while you were doing the design for this game? Stacking the cards to make things happen in the game was one of the first things I made for the prototype. I was inspired by Solitaire and felt fun really quickly. What really got me thinking about other gameplay mechanics was when I made a simple animation of a card bouncing away. That made me realize that a rabbit card could hop all over the place and that monster cards could slowly move to your villagers to attack them. That's when the game got this weird mix of the abstract and physical elements to the cards. It's kind of like cool little thing about it, with like like some of the card those rabbits producing poop and everything for your plants and stuff, and then like bouncing into things and making them go all over the place. The game also simplifies the process of maintaining and building a village with its cards. The ideas went into making the gameplay simple yet still deep. Wanted mechanics to be a bit of a hurdle at the beginning, but for them to be easy when you figure things out. For example, collecting food is pretty hard initially, but when you discover how to build a farm, you quickly have plenty of food to feed your villagers. Also, at first you can only collect wood from the card packs. After a while you can build a lumber camp that allows you to get wood automatically. This way there's always a new problem to solve, which I think gives it that feeling of being simple yet deep. Thoughts went into art design for the cards in game. How did you design the art to make every card's purpose clear at a glance? Most important part of the art design was that the cards shouldn't be too different and that they should be easy to add. I wanted the game to have a lot of cards, but I didn't want to bother Lisa Montel, the artist on Stacklands, to spend too much time drawing them all. I just told her to draw the first thing that came to mind without any revisions. That worked really well, and I think that's why a game's art is fun and readable. The ideas went into creation of the game's many cards. I went to creating so many things that players could create or use. The most important part to me was the feeling of exploration. It's a lot of fun finding new cards, as I wanted to make sure there was plenty of stuff to find. To achieve that, I just followed my intuition and quickly made new cards that I thought would be fun without giving too much thought. I drew to add the card selling system to get new packs. One of the core problems with the prototype was that every card would follow from another card. For example, tree gives you wood, wood allows you to build a house allows you to get new villagers, etc. This means that the game would just have a perfect sequence to combine the cards, which wouldn't be that interesting. The card packs solve this by giving you random cards that you then have to use in a different order to get new cards. It's a fun little loop where you get resources within the bigger loop of building the villages. How did you design interactions, recipes, ideas, combinations that players could create with the cards? The ways they could use cards together to make something new or get some resources. This was one of the harder parts of the design of the game. I wanted to give the players some guidance in discovering the various combinations, but not make it too easy either. Initially, players would have to rediscover the combinations every run by finding the idea cards, but that made every run a way too slow paced. After that, I made it so the players would have to discover the idea first before they could make certain combinations. That felt inconsistent and unfair, because why could now suddenly combine the cards that you couldn't combine before? So in the end, players can just make any combination from the start, even without finding the idea card. That felt the most fair, even though it does lead to some weird situations sometimes. Yeah, so you just need to learn them once, and then every run you will know already. Yeah, I was like saving them there to remember. And I guess you can just screenshot them or something. Gotta get some cheats. Yeah, I need to play some more Stocklands. To maybe finish the run at some point. That would be nice. Oh yeah, in this one. Now let's get this one too then. Sure. Betrayal at Club Low uses dice to pull players into compelling, surreal narrative situations. That we played. That one was dank one. That one was very dank. Very fun too, though. Who are you and what was your role in developing Betrayal at Club Low? I'm Greg Heffernan, aka Cosmo D, the developer of Betrayal at Club Low. Put it all together with considerable assistance in key areas like QA marketing and playtesting. Quite a lot of playtesting. It's your background in making games. Started making games in late 2013. To date, I've released 4 games. Off-Peak, Norwood Suit, Tales from Off-Peak City version 1, and now Betrayal at Club Low. Past titles existed somewhere in the space of walking sim and first-person adventure games. For Betrayal at Club Low, I wanted to push myself as a designer to implement an engaging, decidedly mechanics-driven experience. I do this in a genre that has inspired me since I was a kid, the RPG. Did you come up with the concept for Betrayal at Club Low? Been an avid board game player for years, but at a certain point in late 2018, I really wanted to play something on the table that wasn't so restrained by rules, or even a state of winning or losing. So for the next year or so before the pandemic, I got deep into tabletop games. Ran a table at a pickup RPG session at a local game shop in Brooklyn with strangers just for fun. Betrayal at Club Low grew out of the feeling I got playing these weekly games. When Disco Elysium landed in the fall of 2019, it felt like something I had to respond to digitally in my own work. Development tools were used to build the game. Unity, Blender, Affinity for image editing, Rebel, which simulates watercolors, FaceGen 3D for handling the face, and Bitwig from music. Yeah, the full list. Feels good, eh? Betrayal Club Low does an incredible job of capturing creative, open, and chaotic feel of tabletop game. What challenges did you face in getting that sensation just right for the game? Creating mechanics and possible actions that would capture the creative problem solving that comes from role-playing board games. By leading with the scenario, infiltration, and the 7 skills, cooking, deception, music, observation, physique, wisdom, and wit. I was laying out a clear goal and 7 narrative angles to help solve it. Many of the choices players make in the game are abstract, which gave me a lot of creative leeway to come up with all kinds of activities for the player to do. For example, if one choice was that you could convince the guard you're a chef, the actual conversation doesn't take place in the game, only in the player's imagination. This format was consistent throughout the game, and any actual dialogue that was there was used as an accent. Physical interactions with the inanimate objects were harder because there was no dialogue at all. They were represented by the characters' puppet-like animation loops and a bit of flavor text. Had to really show and not tell there. Still, they played up the slapstick element and showed how even the act of opening up a desk could be treacherous. That sure did, eh? This then presented the challenge of balancing how much I was offering each skill to be used and when. The beginning of the game, when you're trying to infiltrate the club, you can feasibly use any of the 7 skills to get in somehow, all in different narrative ways. In the front, around the side alley, or up on the escape ladder. Keeping track of how often I was providing different skills to be used and which ones were being overused or underused. That took at least 2 spreadsheets and a lot of player feedback. And if I got feedback that was more metagamey, yeah, I just built up my deception skill and was able to beat the game that way. That was a problem I needed to address. Players said I told the guard I was a chef and I got the crowd on my side by dancing with them. That meant the mechanics had fallen away and the story was emerging in the player's imagination. That's when I knew the game was on the right track. What drew you to use dice for the interactions and challenges in the game? Dice are uniquely visceral and chaotic when they are being used to determine the outcome. Essentially, when you roll a lot of them, and they start bouncing off each other with that satisfying clack. I wanted to capture the thrill of the tumble when you watch dice faces turn over and over, and hope that the one you want is going to land upright. I also appreciate their quirks, the way they don't always land flat, seem weighted towards certain sides, fly off in random directions. From design perspective, I appreciated the constraints in dice are the limited sides and the need for clear, simple iconography. There's only so many dice you can roll before you lose track of what's going on, and I wanted every die to carry a certain degree of meaning. Thoughts went in the creation of the game's creative skill and dice system, the creating varied skills and then building a deep dice improvement system to fuel them. Wanted the skill system to be a fun way of navigating challenges in an urban environment that were non-violent, but still had stakes and drama. All the skills in the game can be applied to a wide variety of narrative situations, so I led with the situations and decided which skills seemed to work best with each challenge. Some ideas were pretty far-fetched, like avoiding a security beam by knowing its musical frequency. But I went with it anyway, because that's the kind of idea someone would come up with at my tabletop RPG sessions. I also was attracted to the idea that even if you failed, you would earn something positive, usually money, and doing along with something negative you would have to face later. Failing forward in this way keeps the frustration low because you never lose the money, and the negative consequences can be faced when you are ready. I wanted tension to simmer without veering into outright frustration. Balancing this was tricky and playtesting was crucial. Yeah, it was actually pretty nice in that sense. Didn't save scum there or anything. Just roll with it and still managed to get some good run, I would say. For my customizable dice system, I saw this as generally unexplored territory, both in the digital and tabletop space. You can count on 1, maybe 2 hands the board games that use this mechanic. The deck builder Mystic Whale does something similar, stacking transparent paper to create customizable cards. A strategy and a narrative to upgrading dice. It's not just 1 number going up, it's 6, and those 6 numbers tell a little story. Looking at an opponent that has a 6-6, 7-8, 8-1 in Deception, it's hard to fool them, but they do have a soft spot. I was attracted to the strategy of upgrading dice because it made even the act of leveling up feel like an interesting choice rather than inevitability. 6 sides of a dice, now you have some pathways as to which numbers to boost. Raise one of your lower numbers to catch up with your higher ones. Push one of your higher numbers even more. Do you have enough cash to boost the whole set of 6? I feel like every decision you make is a choice between 2 or more equally interesting decisions. You're relying fully on RNG there is kinda painful though. Dice may seem to make your chances of victory in this game feel random, but you put in some specific elements, improving dice, seeing opponents' possible dice. To counter that, what ideas went into these systems to keep unpredictable nature of the dice while not making it feel totally random? Honestly, getting the dice aspect to work was the biggest design challenge. First, it was just a lot of swingy dice rolling that could end up a dry numbers game. None of the customizability made much of an impact because the dice rolls were so all over the place anyway. But I want to give credit to Charles Pratt of NYU Game Center here. He encouraged me to embrace the Yahtzee mechanic of roll and keep. In this mechanic, you roll, re-roll 2 more times and get to keep whatever dice you want at any point. The more I checked out other dice games, the more I realized how widely used this mechanic has been over decades. King of Tokyo is probably the most notable modern tabletop game using roll and keep. What's so great about it is that it gently tilts the odds in your favor by letting you re-roll while also offering the strategy of choice, what to re-roll and what to keep. Once I embrace this Yahtzee system, the rest of the dice upgrade ideas emerge more intuitively. Yeah, that feels a bit more fair. Still, a lot of RNG there, but at least you could kind of twist it a bit, tweak it a bit. You tied pizza making to the dice system in the game. Can you tell us a bit about your thought process around making pizza with dice? How the idea came together? At first it wasn't pizza dice at all, it was mind dice. So we're using your mind to help you with all these non-combat skills. But I didn't want such a heady theme for my dice, so that led me to embracing pizza. This embrace allowed other elements to fall into place too. Pizza worked for the narrative of who you were and how you were getting into the club. Also allowed me to focus on what the dice actually did. Cheese, pepperoni, basil, etc. had a certain thematic clarity, and I could marry that with mechanics like getting paid, getting healed, and messing with opponents' dice. Finally, for the purposes of onboarding players to the concept of customizable dice, the pizza theme provided a solid hook. Oh yeah, it was a bit surreal, just like the rest of the game. And that's what made it kind of fun too. What ideas went to the visual design of the game, the look of the dice battles, the pizza making, the coffin factory turned nightclub? The visuals were a continuation of the visual aesthetic I've had in all my games, surreal yet grounded. The club itself was inspired by loft-style venues I'd frequent and perform at as a musician around Brooklyn and Queens in the previous chapter of my artistic life. Damn, that's quite the life. A surreal appeal in exploring every inch of club now, every inch of club low. How do you use surprise in the sense of the unexpected to keep players wanting to explore? Yeah, I actually really wanted to get like as much as possible stuff done just because how weird things are. So you just wanted to see what's gonna happen if you do that. When I make a space for players to explore, I usually mix in something grounded and believable with something unfamiliar or out of place. Then I let those elements settle for a while so that their intermingling seems natural and organic. Then I reinforce their intermingling within the world's fiction and characters' relationship with the space. Eventually this blend feels lived in, even for players experiencing it for the first time. They might be feeling uneasy about where they are, yet oddly comfortable, and trusting that their curiosity will lead to a satisfying surprise. You previously said that your games take place in a single universe for reasons that are organic and practical at the same time. However, what do you feel draws you to the surreal, endlessly surprising world of Offpeak? What do you feel brings you here and keeps you here emotionally? As a place where your heart can speak through your creativity. I'm drawn to Offpeak City because in real life I'm drawn to New York. I've lived here for over 20 years. Creating every game has started as my attempt to emulate and celebrate aspects of New York that inspire me. Architecture, geography, food, communities, and local heroes, its struggles, its myths. But then I get whimsical and extend the New York vibe into fantastical, an emotional riff on whatever feels right at that moment. And then New York City industriousness reasserts itself, time to take hold this exploration and make it into something tangible that others can enjoy. I'll see. That was a very nice game. That was something I didn't expect I gonna enjoy much, because it wasn't exactly my type. But it ended up really good. It ended up really good and interesting. That was nice. You're right, then get the last one before we switch then. Try these other games. They are more like just the walking sim though, that's the thing. I could, I guess, because the world seems like it's gonna be a with Dink experience. But they're more like just, you know, walking. Like there's no other things looks like. It's just like walk and explore. No dice, no sort of like gameplay loop, you know, kind of you just walk. I mean, at some point, maybe. Gonna check. They probably already should be like pretty cheap on sale and everything. And maybe I'll think about it at some point. Because they probably are also like in the same weird style. That might be interesting. That might be interesting. Alright, let's see. Let's see. Let's get some post-mortems there. Let's get this one. What was this one? Let me see. Open. Yeah, there's like a lot of... Okay, this one is very detailed. We'll get that one the other time. This one is like super deep report there, which is good. About this one. Yeah, this one is okay and seems kind of more down to earth, I guess. And let's check. Alright. Launched 4 days ago. Let's talk about it. I'll bring the data. Brent, an independent developer from Melbourne, Australia. Before this project, I worked at a small studio as a cinematographer. After that, I decided to try my hand at making a game solo. That was 3 years ago. Now it is out. Let's have a look at the numbers so far. Launched with about 2,700 wish lists. Most of them came from 3 big spikes. All of them were Steam festivals. First was a small niche one, and the second was Next Fest, and the third and biggest spike was the Melbourne International Games Week Fest. I think that one worked out strongly for me because of the small selection of games, leading to less competition and more visibility. Games Week Fest. I guess like the actual real-life event, I would guess. I don't think it was on Steam or something. I don't think they have like the geolocation that down, like the specific events for some specific countries. I don't think they have that yet. Which should kind of make sense though, for some like local conventions or something. So it actually worked even better than Next Fest, going to some actual local physical event. Now there's a fourth spike forming at launch. So far, this has already generated about 700. So far, 137 units have sold, making around 1,800 Australian dollars. 73 of those have been wishlist activations. Also sent about 50 units to reviewers and content creators. Impressively, there's only one refund so far. I like to think that means players are having good time. A game has 17 Steam reviews so far and is 100% positive. Once it passed that threshold of 10, the discovery queue boosts a hit immediately. So it is looking like people are having fun, which is great, but my wishlist conversation ratio is only at 2.2%. There's a few factors that I think are causing this. The first is that I launched without discount applied, and this wasn't intentional. I hadn't realized that I needed to set it before launch. So that's something to look out for in future. Do you really need that? I'm not sure, kinda, actually. Are people now actually like expecting the launch discount? I guess everyone kind of does nowadays, at least like 10% or something. I feel like it just kind of provides, I guess, like more different kind of discoverability venues because you have like those like discounted games, loops, discounted games, filters and stuff. So you just kind of like hit more places, I guess, when you launch. So you kind of like use this launch boost for more like searches, more requests, I guess. And those the game is 50% a month later. I think with indie it's kind of like not always like that though. Another factor is that game is quite unique, and that makes it hard to compare it to other games that players may be familiar with them. Also, it's been quite tough to tag correctly. I was fortunate that they added the shopkeeper tag not too long ago. The second point was going to be a hurdle, which is why I have a demo available. I'm hoping people will give that a try and decide that it's for them. And of course, an obvious hurdle is my choice of engine, RPG Maker. Ah, there it is. But there are good RPG Maker games, and To the Moon, Lisa, Amori, and very recently Pokemon Infinite Fusion. The fuck, really? Also RPG Maker? I'm confident with the feedback I'm receiving that I can count my game among them. The trick is convincing people to give it a chance. The number of active players continues to rise, and since launch, there have always been people in the game. Playtime is above average, with a bulge in the middle range that is steadily increasing as time from launch goes up. And the select few have pumped in a frightening 20 plus hours in these 4 days. What's next? Paying close attention to feedback on Discord, Steam Forum, and Reddit. Posting bug fixes and changes daily. Plans to do a major content patch once that is settled and looking solid. Hoping to get a boost in sales when I can discount the game. Get those wishlist conversions. Steam rules I can apply any discounts for, or can't apply any discounts for 28 days after launch. Alright. So I'll unfortunately miss the upcoming spring sale. That means summer sale is what I'm looking at. Let's see. Alright, what else did they have here? Anything interesting? What else? I wasn't doing much of the marketing. Let's see. How so, Steve? How so? What's with them? What's with the discounts there? The game is a Final Profit a shop RPG. RPG Maker games are always a tough sell. Mostly sell from glowing reviews. Let's see. Most of the graphics don't bother me, but the character sprites do. They're what scream RPG Maker to me. I'm not fan of the style regardless. Yeah, I heard that also before. That that the RPG maker, if your game is too RPG maker, then people not gonna be happy with that one. Oh, so there's like the limitations on the amount you put there? Are there? No, I didn't know actually even. It's like you can go above 20% there. Same with the Unreal Engine and Unity. I think it's a little bit less recognizable though, that's the thing. Like RPG Maker has like very distinct style to it. Like, I mean, I'm playing a bunch of shit, right? But like, if it's gonna be like something 3D, if it's like clear asset flip, you will notice obviously, right? Instantly. But if there is like a little bit more effort put into it, it's already harder. I mean, it's also if you put a little bit of effort in RPG Maker, it's already kind of hard to see if it's RPG Maker. But RPG Maker has like more layers to it, right? Like you see the game, you not always know. Unity, Unreal Engine, is it assets? Is it like free assets? Is it bought assets or something? And RPG Maker already kind of has this, like the whole concept is already there. As usual, is the same. Except I guess like Lisa, for example, right? Like Lisa doesn't look like RPG Maker game whatsoever, but it is. Amori, I guess, kinda is RPG Maker-ish, but still, like it has such a like different style to it that it doesn't look like it. But if you like have like this one even like has like unique seems like art style and stuff to it, like not completely, you know, like just assets flipped into. But it's still like you easily can tell that it's RPG Maker. And the problem also like Unity, sure, you can like flip assets in Unity and stuff, but to flip assets in Unity, you still need to learn something. Like I can tell already for now for sure, like as a person who spends some time, not a lot of time at all, right, in Unity, but still, uh, like you can just go in and just like slap that shit in and it just works. You still need to know what you're doing a little bit and kind of like do some other adjusting. In RPG Maker, everything is already done really there. Like there is obviously also something you need to do, but I think you mostly can just kind of like use all those like tile set builders and everything. And out of pre-made things, you already can build stuff just by putting it there. Like you don't need like to code much or something from what I know, especially newer ones, right? Tempted to get RPG Maker? Yeah, I think there's like the basic version you can just use for free, I think. I think so. I'm not sure. It might be like with some limitations, but maybe you can just to try, and then you can like buy the license or something. I think if you just like do stuff for yourself, then you can do it for free. If you want to release the project, then I think you already need to buy the license. But I mean, it's also on sale, not that much. Unity also has a lot of plugins that do the most stuff for you. Yeah, but even like making that work, you need to like some knowledge basically. Like RPG Maker, from what I've seen, like I looked into all those engines too before, right? I was thinking maybe like start with this, then I decided like better just go for something, you know, more flexible and that will be more useful in general sense for later, right? But yeah, it's just like skate, like what you see is what you get, sorta, right? Type, like it's pretty like out of the pack, like RPG out of the package is pretty easy to make. Like if you want to like do something special there, that already will require a bunch of changes, a bunch of coding and everything. But if you want like just regular JRPG stuff, then everything is there. Like all the tile sets are there, all the logics are there, characters and everything there already. You just like literally just like put that on screen, put a bunch of already prepared systems in, write a dialogue. I mean, that's a lot to do too, right? But still, it's like that's I think why the RPG Maker games are kind of like devalued, is because like everyone who has time and wants to try something, they can like dish out the game there. And that's why a lot of people kind of like have this like blind eye, like the banner blindness for like RPG Maker games, because it's either like some, you know, like some fanfic, fan-made stuff by some random dudes with really low quality, or it's some Coomer games, which also quite often half of them are also like some fanfic, you know, with shit quality. And then there is just a few that are actually good. And usually you can't even tell from the RPG Maker. So that's kind of like part of the issue there. Like you can see the RPG Maker, many people already gonna pass. In the same time, though, I think it's kind of like, yes, that's the comment said, like if you have like good reviews and stuff, then you potentially get like extra customers, because there are people who kind of just like RPG Maker games that are actually good. They're just probably not gonna try to explore themselves. They're gonna wait and see. Right? People say it's good, all right, I might try it then, because you also kind of know what you're gonna be playing. It's pretty much the same stuff. So if you like that kind of games, then anything made on RPG Maker is gonna be the same. Perfect engine for an artist. The thing is, like, I think classic just RPG Maker experience is not that good for artists, actually. Unless you like very like, like the actual 2D like pixel artists, so you can make like tile sets, right, and make like beautiful environments and stuff. You have limited creativity amount to make like characters, for example, displayed in the game. Like the character like sprite will be small too, but you can make like some screens, right, that you can draw, but still it's like a small amount. Like you're not gonna get some. And when you want, and if you want to tune it to get more space for like creative display, that's when you need coding already, because like the basic stuff is like from what I heard at least, it's like it's really easy to do, to work with. But if you want to change something, then prepare. It's basically, I think, what Ultan said about, was it the Renpy or whatever, right? The visual novel engine, and when he tried to like slam in the card elements, that's when the fun started, right? Yeah, see, bro, I see. Classic there. Sok probably can give you a review on that one. As an expert Coomer gamer. On the targeted games, Let's see. Yeah, a lot of people told that the trailer start is a little slow. Should cut the start to the action. That, I think, like, is quite the problem nowadays, I feel. The old school type of well, not old school rather, but like trailers from AAA studios and stuff, they're not gonna work for anything small. Like starting with some intro with some like lore stuff already, starting with the logo first. Let's get like the studio in there, right? Like 5 seconds gone, and then we start already like some talking or something, text appears on screen or some shit, right? And then like 10, 15, 20 more seconds, you maybe, not always, you will see some gameplay. And I think a lot of people nowadays just probably, like, they don't see the gameplay and stuff fast, they just skip. Like if you don't the hook modern audience fast, TikTok style, you ain't getting them. You ain't getting them. The attention span is like 5 seconds. If they didn't get it in 5 seconds, they swipe. It might be even like a bit generous, I feel. Like if they see probably there's a logo or something appearing, they probably already swipe. If they don't recognize the logo, that's a swipe. Studio who?